Welcome, everybody. Today, I am going to ask you to have a couple things open for our use in class today. I'm going to be using this video to make an ed puzzle, and you having these open will allow you to complete each step as we go through the ed puzzle. So you're going to need two tabs open. The first tab you'll need to have open will be your Google Drive. So have that open. And then the second tab, you'll need your This I Believe essay. So I have an example essay open on mine as well. I'm going to go ahead and pause here for a moment for you to go ahead and open up those tabs. All right. So our goal for today is that you are going to be able to understand how to use ProWritingAid, the app on your documents, and how to save a grammar report to your Google Drive. All right. So the first thing I want you to do is go to the tab where you have your Google Drive open. And you should have completed a previous ed puzzle for points in which you created a writing portfolio folder. So I need you to locate that folder. If you did not do that, I'm going to ask you to stop this video and go and complete that ed puzzle that was assigned to you previously in the week that this was originally assigned. The ed puzzle that you need to complete is entitled Set Up Your Writing Portfolio for English 4. You'll need to have that complete before you can do anything in this current video. Otherwise, you're not going to know where to save your things. It's going to get lost, and it's going to make life a lot more complicated for both you and I. So please go ahead and do that if you have not already. For those of you that have finished that, you can stick around because we are now going to move forward. All right. So as I stated, I would like you to open up your Google Drive and locate your writing portfolio folder. I have about 40 folders in my drive that I've created over the years. So I actually number the ones that I use the most. So that's why mine says number 1 and then writing portfolio. Again, I know that this is a shared folder because it has that little shared person ghost icon there. So I'm going to open this up. Your folder at this point probably should only have your website in it. There may not be anything else. It depends on when you're actually accessing this video. So today we're going to be adding a document to this, and that document will be your primary or very first grammar report that will be for your This I Believe essay, your revision essay. So we're actually going to do this before you do any revising. The purpose of this is so that we can show where you start with the work that you're doing, so that when you turn in the final grammar report, you can show how much you've grown or changed over the time for using this tool. All right. So this is a way of measuring that. So now that we have this open, anything that we create in here or while we're in this folder will automatically be viewable by anybody else who has shared permissions with this folder. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to pause so that you can make sure that you have that open. And then we're going to go over to your This I Believe essay. Okay. So now I am on my This I Believe essay. This essay is written by Stu Dent. If you don't get the reference there, I'm a little sad. All right. So there are a few things that I want to point out to you. So Google Documents already has pre-built into it some programming that will help you out. It'll underline things in blue or red to let you know that there may or may not be some issues. So you'll see this one has lots of pretty blue underlines there. And those are in there because it's actually already picking up on some possible grammar issues. I'm not going to make any changes to this yet because this is the actual piece that Stu has turned in, okay, for a grade. So now, in doing a revision of this, Stu is going to need to run a report that shows where his grammar is at to begin with. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to come up here to the top of this toolbar and we're going to locate the button that says add-ons. So take a moment, pause the video here if you need to go over and switch to that to find it. All right. Hopefully you've found that now. So we're going to click on where it says add-ons, and you probably won't have anything on the add-ons menu. I have something called Orange Slice. You may not have that. You're going to click on the button that says Get Add-ons. When we click on that, it will open up the Google Workspace Marketplace. So we're going to pause here again to give you time to do that. All right. So now that you have Google Workspace Marketplace open, what you're going to do is use the Search Apps tool, that little search bar next to where it says Marketplace, and we're going to put in the keyword Pro and Writing. If you make that all one word, it will actually come up only with the app that we're looking for. But if you make it two separate words, I'm going to show you, and hit enter to search, we get an option of 6 different apps. The one we are looking for is this white rectangle with the teal icon that says Pro Writing Aid, Improve Your Writing. This is the one that we need. This is what we're going to install. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that, just like you should. And then it's going to have this bar here that says install. Okay. So this is what I need to be looking for. So I'm going to pause here so that you have the time to search for this app and find the install button. Okay, so hopefully you've gotten to this point. We're going to go ahead and click on install. You'll see that we get a couple different pop-ups. The first one that comes up is telling me that it's going to be asking me in a moment for permissions to access my material. So I'm going to click on continue. There we go. And then a new pop-up will come up in which I'm going to need to select my school username and account here so that it can access my materials. So I'm going to select my school account, and then another pop-up comes up. And this one is actually where I'm going to click on allow so that I can give the site permission to access my Google document and check my grammar for me. So I'm going to click on the allow button. And when it's all done, it will then come up with a screen that will show me that it is got the add-on in there and is ready to go. So I can choose to click on either done at the bottom or the little X up here at the top to close this. And you'll see that the Google Workspace Marketplace is still open. So I need to close that window as well. So I'm going to go up here and close that window. So now the add-on should be added to that add-ons button. So I'm going to come back up here and click on add-ons. And now I can see that I have Pro Writing Aid, Grammar Checker, and Writing Coach as my add-on. All right. So we are going to click on this and you'll see that we have the option of a summary report or improved document. I know it sounds like we're going to hit on where it says report because I have been saying that we're going to run a grammar report, but we're not. We're going to click improve document. So we're going to pause here so that everybody can go over here and click on improve document. All right. So now that we're ready, once we've clicked on improve document, we're going to get a window that looks something like this. I'll give it a second to load. If you get a message saying that a license is expired or anything like that, don't worry. Just go ahead and click maybe later. If we need to, I'll show everybody how to request a free pro license. It's a temporary license though. But for now, all of the free options that it offers are all that we're going to need. All right. So the first thing that you may notice when you click on this, and it may cause you to panic, so don't panic. That is my favorite quote from one of my favorite books is Don't Panic, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, is that your format does not look like it did on the essay. Don't worry, it has not messed anything up. What it's doing is it's just showing you a preview without any of the formatting in it because all it wants to look at is the actual writing itself. Okay. So we're going to see this here. This is our first time we're using it. So now we're going to click over here on this icon that looks like a clipboard and says summary on it. This summary report is actually what we need to use in order to get our grammar report. So I'm going to close that little pop up there and I'm going to put my cursor on here one more time so that we can pause the video and everyone can look for that icon on on their screen and go ahead and click on it so that they can open up the report so we can complete the next step. Okay. So now that we have this open, when we talk about the fact that it says an overall grammar score or an overall score of average score of 90 or better for that 4 on our rubric, what we're talking about is the average between these 3 categories. So if we took grammar score, which is 17%, added that to the top style score, 55%, and the spelling score of 88%, and then divided that by 3, what would we get? Anybody know? All right, I will do the math for you very quickly. We would get a 53%. That's not a great score. That shows that there's quite a bit of work that needs to be done here. So we are going to save this report so that we can show where we started from. We're going to do this by clicking on the print button right here. All right, when we click on that print button, I'm going to show you that you have 2 options here. It's taking its time to load the preview. Hold on a second. There we go. Okay. So we want to do one of 2 things. For those of us who are in a school Chromebook, we are lucky enough to have the option to change the destination to save in Google Drive, but you're going to need to kind of navigate it through where you want to save it. So you're going to have to actually tell it to put it into the folder. Those of us who want to do this the right way are going to do this. We're going to click on Save as PDF because unfortunately, if I click on Save to Google Drive, I don't have a school Chromebook, so I don't have the option to show you how to navigate the thingy to show you which folder it's going into. So unfortunately, I can't show you that. I'm going to show you the long way. So we're going to click on Save as PDF. And I'm going to pause here for a moment to give everybody a chance to do that. Okay. Once we've changed it to Save as PDF, we're going to come down to the bottom and click Save. It's then going to ask us where we want to save it and what we want to title it. It'll automatically come up as Untitled Document. I would like you to change the name to this, I believe, Grammar 1. And the number is very important. This is so that once we have this in our folder, you're going to know the difference between your first report and your last report. Okay. When we go into save the last report, you're going to change the title of that one to this, I believe, Grammar 2. That way, you know 1 is the one that you ran the first time, and 2 is the one that you ran the last time. All right. You're going to click on save. This should be saving it to your downloads. If you've previously saved something to your computer, it may be saving it to wherever you saved it. So make sure you check where you're saving it before you click on save. For everybody who's using a Chromebook, I believe your only option really is to save it to your downloads. So go ahead and pause. I'm going to pause here so that you have a chance to make sure that you're on downloads or you know where you're at. And we're going to click on save. All right, now that we've saved the report, the next thing we need to do before we go any further is to make sure that we put that report into our writing portfolio folder. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the tab that I have open with my writing portfolio folder already. Okay. And this is where things are going to be a little bit different from what I'm showing you on your screen than what they show up on mine. If you're using a Chromebook, or a MacBook, your menus might look slightly different. They might be a little bit different color, but everything, all the information that's there will be exactly the same. All right. So I'm going to click on plus new. When I click on plus new, I have the option menu pop up. We are going to select file upload. So I'm going to pause here so that everybody can go click on plus new and then select file upload. Okay. So I've opened up my file upload. This is where things might look slightly different on your screen than they do on mine. If you're using a Chromebook, you probably have a blue menu. If you're using a MacBook, your menu will look different than this. It may also be white, but it might have different columns and different icons. Okay. However, I want to make sure that I'm on downloads or on the file folder menu over here to the left for whichever place I use to save my previous document that I just downloaded. And then I'm going to locate the title of that document. So this, I believe, Grammar 1 is the one I'm looking for. I'm going to select it, and then I'm going to click on Open. So I'm going to pause here so that everybody can follow along and do that. Okay, once I've hit Open, I'm going to get a little pop-up on my Google Drive that tells me that it is now saving it, and it will tell me a little green check mark there when it is done. And I'll see the icon there, the thumbnail that shows me what my document looks like from afar. All right. Good job. So now we have saved our grammar report, and it is time to look at all of the different things that we can do to improve our paper using this tool. So before I close my summary report, I want to show you some of the things that the summary report will show you. It does give you an overall grammar score and style score and spelling score. Okay. And we're going to go in and use the tool to fix these things. As we go down, you'll see that there are some more details here about what is going on with it and what you need to do to fix everything, including what is causing errors for your grammar. So it says here that you have possible verb agreement errors at least 3 times, possible confused word, it's 3 times. Same thing with loss versus lose, I believe, probably. So a lot of confused word errors in here. Okay. So lots and lots of things that it's going to point out to us. So we can use that report to actually go through and look at different pieces of our writing, see what it's talking about, and what it wants us to fix and what is affecting that score. Okay. So that's one way that we can begin this is by looking at our overall score based on these different categories. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and close this report because what I want to do is start actually editing my paper. So before we go too far, I want to remind you, because it isn't pointing this out, that your title needs to have each word in it be capitalized. So this is going to need to change to a capital B. All right. And then you'll notice that this down here, that gray button just turned teal green for us. Oh, hold on a second. Let me get rid of that. There we go. That change is not going to change on my paper unless I click this button that says apply changes and close. If I don't do that, the change that I just made will not go into my paper. So I need to remember that because there's a lot of work that I have to do in this to improve my overall score. So you can see there are things in here that are underlined in blue, and there may be some things underlined in yellow as well. All of these things are possible errors that the program is trying to point out to me. So here is the big thing. Our first inclination is to go ahead and click on something that's been underlined. We don't want to click on things in this program. That's actually the only thing I don't like about this program is that we have been trained by every other program that when we want to fix something, we click on it. Okay. In this case, we're going to just take our cursor and hover over that underline. And then it's going to tell us what the possible problem is. So it's going to tell us that there's possibly word confusion here, or it might need a comma, or maybe something is spelled wrong, those kind of things. So I'm going to need to first take a look at what error it thinks that it may have found. I should look at the sentence as well. So in this case, I should reread my sentence. It says, you can believe in the same thing as one person, or you can believe in the opposite of their beliefs. Okay. So it's telling me that maybe I should probably change this word to beliefs. All right. If I'm not sure that I agree with it, I can click on that little pulsating eye over here for information, and it's going to tell me a little bit more about the reason that it flagged this. So it's going to give me some information, including when it's a word confusion, the different words and everything. Oop, it just popped away. So if I decide that I agree with it and that I want to make that change, all I'm going to need to do then is move my cursor down here to where it has that possible change, the little line to change, and click on beliefs. If it's something that I'm putting in that it's part of a quote or something like that, that I don't want to use, okay, that I want to ignore it, I'm going to tell you right now, do not click on disable rule at the beginning, okay? I want you to wait until you're done fixing all of the other errors to do that. But that's how you're going to get it to stop looking at that as an error, okay? And to remove that from your grammar check as an error. All right. So again, another piece of word confusion here. So I'm going to have them fix that. Here it's going to tell me the difference between it's with an apostrophe and it is. So it's telling me that this doesn't have the apostrophe. So I should decide, do I want to say it's with the apostrophe or it is? So here's the thing. When you are writing for a very formal thing, so if you're writing scientifically or about anything outside of the English department, I would tell you that you should probably break it down to it is instead of it's, simply because it gives it more of a formal tone to it. And a lot of social sciences teachers like that. Okay. But they like things to sound as textbook as possible. So that's how you sound textbook. All right. So, but in this case, because this is a piece of narrative writing, I can use that it's with the apostrophe. So I'm going to go through and make all of those changes in here that it talks about, or at least decide whether or not I want to make those changes. Okay. Some of them are about grammar, some of them are about spelling, some of them are about comma placage. All right. All of these things are things that I really should be taking the time to look at my writing and see what it is talking about. Um, so that, so we might need to change that to the word have there for this person. Okay. So there are a lot of different words in here that we might need to be changing, and so on. So I'm going to make some of these changes in here. It will even occasionally talk to you. I'm looking for a specific piece in here about passive voice versus active voice. And unfortunately, in this example, I don't seem to be seeing that. Um, oh well. But what I was going to point out to you is like when you do see that, when you click on that informational thing, when you have the passive voice versus active voice, that is something that you've probably been told by teachers, and they may or may not have directly taught you what the difference is. So an active voice is basically saying, I did this or I am doing this. And passive says, I may have done it. So it's almost like it's implying that you don't necessarily want to take full responsibility for it. So here's the thing. When it gives you that, if you're not sure you understand about what passive voice is and you want more information, the nice thing about that particular article is it actually includes a short video lesson from them that is actually really good. And I encourage you to take a look at that because Later on in the school year, when we're talking about writing a thank you letter or your resume or revising your resume or writing a cover letter, it's very important in those that the tone includes as much active voice as possible. So we're going to be focusing on that, and it may help you out in the future to avoid some of those errors. All right. So again, I did tell you guys that one of the things that you're going to need to do in order to save the changes is click this apply changes and close. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and show you that those changes that I made have now been changed in my paper. So my spelling issue here has been fixed, and I've got a lot more or a lot fewer of those blue underlines. But here's the thing, I still have things that I need to fix. My grammar checker didn't find everything that needs to be found. My heading isn't in proper MLA format. I have too many spaces between my body and my title, but I also didn't double space my essay. So there are things that Stu is going to have to fix that weren't necessarily caught by the grammar checker. So remember, you still need to be responsible for all of the things that are the requirements that aren't necessarily caught by any particular grammar checker. Now, I will also tell you that paid grammar checkers, for example, Grammarly or Grammarly, um, are going to be a little bit better at catching errors than free ones. Okay. Even with Grammarly, they do have a free version of it, but it doesn't catch everything that their paid upgrade does. So you're basically you get what you pay for. I'll put it that way. All right. So now that I'm done, let's pretend that I'm done, or maybe I think that I'm done. I'm going to go back to my ProWritingAid um, checker, and I'm going to try and get my finalized or decide if I need my finalized one yet. So I'm going to go back in and rerun that summary report. When I run this report, remember, I'm trying to show that I have improved all of my scores. All right. So, what I will point out to you now is that the summary report shows that there's still some work to be done, but you can see here that there has been growth. The spelling is now at 100%. The style score has gone up, and the grammar is starting to improve. All right. Now, some common issues that people have pointed out to me is that it might be saying that your name is spelled wrong, or that something else that maybe has a specific name is spelled wrong. So what you can do, and I'm going to have to close this to show you how to do that. I'm going to purposely misspell something here. There's my name. And then I'm going to run that report. Okay. Okay. So when you're in here, if you are being dinged on spelling for something like a name, and I can't for some reason get it to think that my name is spelled wrong, even though the main document thinks it's spelled wrong. What I'm going to point out to you is when you hover over that quote unquote misspelling, one of the things that it will give you the option to do instead of disabling a rule is it will actually say add to dictionary. And you'll be able to add your name to the dictionary. So anytime that it sees your name in there, it will automatically realize that that's a name and that is spelled properly. Okay. So that was one thing I wanted to point out to you. When you're done with everything, if you have things that are quoted and whatnot, and you want it to ignore those things because of whatever, you can tell it to ignore or disable the rule. I prefer you just click on ignore. All right. And a few more tools that are actually very helpful for you guys are all up in here. So, what I want to point out to you is, for example, echoes. If you click on that, we'll do a good job of finding places where you've maybe been very repetitive about something. So if you don't mean to be repetitive, you could find those places and look for it. If you maybe overuse words like belief, is used in here quite a few times. It will point that out to you by looking at your repeats. You might use the thesaurus to maybe change a few of those to add some variety to your paper. If you want to specifically focus on style, you can do that by specifically clicking on the style and looking for things in here that you might want to fix and whatnot. So those things are nice. The other thing is here under more reports, you can actually look at different things like we talked about cliches, your diction, homonyms, like words that sound the same but mean different things, and even come down here and look for possible instances of plagiarism. So these are all pretty nice reports for you to be able to use as well. But for right now, we're going to stick with just making those fixes. If you're ever told that your transitions need some work, this little bridge here icon will help you with that and give you some hints on things that you can do for those things. It'll show you all those transitions. So you might notice that because is in here a lot. So maybe you would want to change some of those transitions and whatnot. Okay. Or if you maybe use the and or the like a lot. My daughter is notorious. She'll be like all the way through her paper. She sounds like a valley girl. So we had to work on fixing those kind of things. So there's lots of different options for you in order to improve your paper here. And remember, nothing actually stays unless you click on that apply and change. So when you're done, you'll save your final report into your folder the same way we did the first one. And then you're all set to go. So have a great day and make great choices.